Well, let me get to this one. Hannah Courtney from Florida asks, in the episode Replacements, when you were
like Hannah, I'm already assuming Hannah's 17. Hi, Hannah. Yeah, Hannah's probably 52, and she's like, "Why are you treating me like I'm 17?"
Well,
anyway,
she's got a pretty decent question here. When you were fighting the German soldier with your bayonet, what did you do to prepare yourself for that intense scene? And do you really chew tobacco?
I do not chew tobacco. I did chew tobacco for the show.
Wow.
I chewed... and there's people out there who'll know this part of the story better than even myself. There's chewing tobacco, and then there's dip.
Right.
They're really, 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 really different.
Yes, they are. Having done both of them, yes.
If you don't know that, you don't know that. Mm-hmm. So when I started to, quote, chew tobacco, I went out and got some Skoal, and I started doing some dip, and I think I threw up for about 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it's a very bad.
I think about it right now, and I kind of get a little bit choked up, as it were. That is the most hideous crap you'd ever want to put in your mouth. Mm-hmm. Holy shit! That is donkey ass.
Well, you're very close. Yes.
Yeah, and people are like, "Oh, look, you ever tasted donkey ass?" Yes, and that is donkey ass. So get over it.
Oh my god.
Chewing tobacco, though, is different. I did some Red Man, and I was able. That was actually, for me, I don't necessarily have an addictive personality, so it wasn't addictive per se, but I did enjoy it. Mm-hmm. And that stuff will get you high as a kite.
Yeah, if you ingest the spit,
the
juice of the Red Man and or Levi Garrett or whatever your chew du jour is. Did you ever try the plug? By the way,
I did. We did. That's to me. That was the same. Is that the stuff where you bite like a chunk of the brick off?
Yes, yeah. That would be like the day's work or something like that.
Yeah, that was. They actually had some of the real stuff that these guys would have chewed in World War II, which is basically like the Red Man shredded, except it's been chopped up
and compressed.
Yeah, like oatmeal, and then pushed together into this block, and it's just as hideous as Skoal, as far as I was concerned, because it just fell apart in your mouth, and then you had to, get it back together. It just become like a science experiment now on Skype.
Exactly.
Yes, with your own saliva, you put this stuff back together in your mouth, and you then shove it between your cheek and gum, as it were, and suck all the juice out of it.
And then spit for distance.
Yes.
And what's interesting is I totally have a couple questions from the chat room kind of related to that, because Megan from Canada and Jessica from Texas
sure,
both want to know what cigar you smoked in Band of Brothers.
What happened was the people the producers of Band of Brothers, when it came to my cigars, were cheap bastards.
So big Phillies.
Yeah, they were all filled garbage. So what I did ultimately in the end was I said, okay, that $9 a month that you're spending on my cigars, why don't you give that to me? I'll go get my own cigars. I'll pay the difference, because if I'm going to be eating these things, they need to be full rolled leaf good cigars, or I can't do it because they just would fall apart. They were literally they were getting these, like Swisher Sweets, like basically big fat cigarettes.
Yep.
Which would just totally fall apart. So I went down to a cigar shop down in Knightsbridge, and I talked to the gentleman down there and told him what we were doing. He knew about the project, so he actually cut me a house deal on some just really good Cubans. That I could get just for their cost, and I would get the Churchill was the ring caliber,
right?
Because that was the size that they would have smoked at the time, and then I would just this I think it was called Longato, was the longest Churchill I could get, and there was, I don't even remember the brand of it specifically, but then I would take that and I would take the one cigar that I would get from them and I would cut it into 3 pieces, and that would I would have enough to be able to smoke a little bit down, and then still have a stub left on it. And the cigars, they lasted. I think that actually my jacket went on eBay at one point, and it still had 3 of those cigars in different pockets.
Nice.
Of the jackets. But I would reuse them over and over again. I actually asked them to not. They came to us in wardrobe and asked us what wardrobe we wanted washed and what we didn't want washed, and I asked them to please never wash the outer jacket,
the field jacket.
It just smelled completely of tobacco and the cigars, and I would walk into work and I would get into all of the you clean garments and stuff, and then you put on your pants, and then you throw this field jacket on, and I could just bury my face into it, and I was there. I mean, it was for me, it was the best way to get into his head and his the whole sort of persona and physicality and everything. But for me, it all came from that the training that we did in those clothing, with those jackets, with the smell of the tobacco, just everything about that oozed that tobacco. And for me, that was really, really important to my process.
It's like comfort, like a blankie.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, you sold that jacket on eBay?
No, someone else did.
Oh, somebody else did.
Yeah. No, I saw it came up on eBay, and no, if I had it, I'd still have it. That's one of the regrets I had. Is I guess some of the guys did walk off with with some of their gear, in a good way, because they wanted to keep it, and the thought was, well, what are you going to do? Take it from me?
Yeah, exactly. Now, this is mine.
Which I ultimately wish we all had done, because that stuff did go. That did go on eBay, and I don't know I honestly don't know if the producers recoup money. I don't know if somebody bought the whole thing as a lot. I don't know, but I know for years after this stuff was coming up for sale, for memorabilia and stuff, and I really wish I just would have taken all my gear except for my weapon, and just walked back home with it, and just said, whatever, send me a bill.
Well, that answers Megan's other question, because she asked if you kept any props.
Just my boots. Most of the guys did walk off with their boots.
Good.
Yeah, I still have my Corcorans. They had Corcoran, the company that actually made the boots in World War II, make all the boots again. They are the most uncomfortable things you'd ever want to put on your feet. But you spend that kind of time in leather, with sweating and being flooded and being up to your knees in water and this and that, and by the end they just fit like a glove. They're just amazing. It's like just an old soft pair of gloves.
That's cool.
Yeah, and we all I think almost everybody, we just were so these are my.
Was part of your boot camp regime the polishing? Did you have to sit down and do all of the boot care and everything like that?
Absolutely, as much as you could, and that was a bonding thing too. We'd do that. We'd go over stuff in the barracks at night, and you just talk, and you have your kind of winding down period, And I learned some things from my brother. My brother was a Marine, and he had gone through boot camp, and it was about time management and making your bed. And I remember him telling me when he got home, and I shared this with my whole barracks, after the first night, was that he says, you make your bed once, you make it when you get there. And then when you sleep, you just lay on top of it and go to sleep. So when you wake up in the morning, all you got to do is smooth out your bed. So you never get you're a total jerk if you get underneath your sheets and snuggle up and all that. You just got more stuff you got to fix in the morning. I said, guys, my brother told this is the thing. So you get an extra blanket, and you just have to fold the blanket, put it in the thing. But you would lay down, on top of your made bed, and then all you had to do is smooth it out and make sure your corners were crisp.
Nice.
So it's a huge time-saving factor.